And good evening, everyone. It's time now for the Brantford Coaches Show. We normally do this on a Tuesday night, but there was a JV game last night, so we're doing it on Wednesday. Appreciate you tuning in. Wayne Littrell, joined by the head coach of the Brantford Buccaneers, Coach Tim Clark. Want to thank Farm Bureau Insurance for making this possible. Also, Van Carpet One and the Suwannee County School District. All right, Coach, let's start with last week's game, big rivalry game, and congratulations on that victory over the Bell Bulldogs.
Thank you. Thank you. Excited about the way the kids played. Obviously, getting a win at home against a rival, that's a big deal for us. So proud of the way that we executed.
Yeah, 28-7, the final score. You guys scored in every quarter. And a pretty tight ball game in the first half, only 14-7 at halftime. Did you give a big speech in the second half, or that defense kind of shut them down?
Right. Well, I thought we played very well for the most part all night defensively. We knew the areas that they were going to try to, attack us with the playmakers that they had in the backfield. We knew they were a run heavy team, and we needed to force them into the pass, which I thought we did, and then defended pretty well when they did throw the football. The big thing that I thought was a positive for us was seeing some adversity.
Okay.
Especially right there at the end of the first half. Had two penalties there that we made it all the way to the concession stand. Had a dead ball foul. Thought it was halftime. Clock ran out to 0, and the white hat started. They blew whistles and basically said, "Come back out. We're putting 15 seconds on the clock." So we did, and then had to kind of scramble into going from they were on the negative side of the 50 to a 15-yard penalty. Now they're on the plus side. It changes what we do a little bit defensively, so don't look at anything thrown over your head. So they checked it down, and we hit a kid out of bounds, and get another 15. Next thing we know, they were in scoring position, with just a few seconds left on the clock, and then we had a ball thrown over our head, and they scored. So we went from literally jogging on the way to the locker room up 14 to nothing, and getting the football back in the second half to, okay, it's 14-7. And now, there was a definite momentum shift going into halftime.
Yeah, no doubt about it.
Yeah, so that was big, and we challenged them at halftime that said, look, we never felt in the first half like we weren't in control of the game. The tempo of how we wanted to play offense and defense, everything was clicking for us, and we were playing very well. So to have that adversity strike us there at the end of the first, we said we really need to respond coming out of the second half, get KOR on the field, have a good return, set up that drive, and let's burn some clock, get down the field, and put this thing, start to put this thing away, make this game 21-7 here in a hurry. Well, then we come out, line up KOR, they kick an onside kick, execute it beautifully, takes a perfect hop, and they get the football. And from there, a couple more penalties, man, they were back in scoring position. So we went from looking to go to halftime 14-0,
to suddenly a chance of being tied.
Right, to 14-7. Let's go hit them in the mouth, start the second half. Well, they get onside kick, and now, like you said, they're about to tie the football game, and had a big momentum generating play. Arcavian Jones picked the ball off in the end zone, returned it out to about the 10-yard line, and then 9 plays later, we were on the other end of the field punching it into the end zone to start to put that football game away. So I was really happy to see how they responded to some really bleak circumstances there for 3 minutes after the first the kickoff in the second half. Stemming off of what happened right before halftime. That was good to see the response.
Yeah, because you're talking about, like you said, you're going in, you're thinking you pitched a shutout in the first half, and you got a comfortable lead, and then suddenly you're back on the field. They score, and now you've got to kind of rally the troops again at halftime. You get that game face on for the second half, and then adversity once again. But the fact that you did overcome that and kind of settled down and had a great second half, I mean, that says a lot about the character of the team.
Right. I was glad to see that. There was good communication in the locker room at halftime. Guys were vocal, and everybody was positive. Look, the only offensive um, negativity we've had has been self-inflicted. It was penalties, things like that, and there were some aggressive penalties too. Holds downfield, effort generated type penalties. So we knew if we cleaned that up, everything else we were trying to execute was clicking for us. And then defensively, we were tackling well and we were pursuing well. So as long as we knew we didn't change those things, we would be fine in the football game. Just had to, I wanted to see mentally how we would respond, and it was good to see.
One of the things that coaches do is try to motivate players, but it's always a key if you can get some players to motivate each other, because sometimes it's just coach speak and it's in one ear and out the other, but you get guys that are on the field with them, and those guys to speak up in those type situations. I mean, that's the key.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, they hear it from us all the time. But when there's leaders on the football team that say, "Look, guys, we're good. We're good. You made that play. You made that play. We're going to keep making those." That goes a long way. Then hopefully they're not sitting in the corner in the locker room thinking, "Man, this is pretty bad right now." They're believing that we're going to come out and answer.
Yeah. And beating Bell, I mean, having, the fact they beat you the year before, so it was kind of a, I don't want to say revenge, but you wanted to get them back.
Right, certainly, and sir, we didn't talk about it a whole bunch in the show last week, but it was certainly mentioned ad nauseum, throughout the week for us in preparation. The fact that they beat us last year, and then the manner in which that game ended. On the very last play of last year in Bell, and not really feeling like we had the opportunity that we had earned there at the end of the game to try to win it. So it was good that it didn't come down to one of those circumstances this year.
Well, 2-1, 2 wins in a row. So congratulations, bouncing back after that opening week loss. And you want to keep an eye on Bell this week. I understand that they've got a home game against Lake Weir.
Right, and I've acquired some film on Lake Weir, and I'm really curious to see how that matchup plays out.
Yeah.
They're a team very similar to Bell in that they're big up front, and then they have a handful of skill guys that are they're pretty good in open field, and they prioritize them in their offensive strategy. So I thought that we played better than I expected against Bell's front. Bell's front was big. Bell's front was big, and that's what we don't have is a whole lot of depth in size up front.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of size to begin with up front, but certainly depth. We put our starting three hands in the dirt defensively are pretty decent sized kids, but after that, we don't have many that are bigger, and Bell has a lot that are big, and I thought we played very very good in terms of pad level, and mitigating some of that size differential in terms of being the first off the snap, striking, and playing physical and playing low. And I think that made a big difference Friday night. So I'm curious to see how Lake Weir and Bell match up. I personally think it's going to be a good football game.
Yeah, technique goes a long way. Speed sometimes can beat size, and so yeah,
Right.
I mean you can't just get whipped by the guy across there. You got a job to do, and you guys are normally undersized. Same, with Swanee, and
Right.
normally they're undersized when they play other schools, so you're kind of used to it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. This week going to Oak Hall, Gainesville. So we want to talk more about them in the next segment. But just a comment on this challenge. Undefeated ball club playing at home.
Right, absolutely. I mean, they play in the SSAC. They play a lot of the private schools in the area and in the Central Florida area. Certainly, if you look up historically what they've done, what RJ's done there, the head coach has done at Oak Hall in his tenure there has been impressive. They expect to win.
Yeah.
They've year in year out been an 8-win, 9-win, even have a 10-win season here and there.
Yeah.
Since he's been there. Now last year they had an interim coach and came into our place and beat us, and now RJ's back at Oak Hall, and certainly he's a very good football coach. He spent a year at Union County while he was gone from Oak Hall, and now has returned, and we expect them to be very disciplined, and again to expect to keep winning like as they have, and they're 3-0 now, and so it's going to be a good challenge.
Yeah, it should be. And the coach, as I understand it, the school did a national search and ended back up with the coach that they had who left for Union County and he came back home. So that's kind of a cool story.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah.
All right, we'll be talking more about them. Wayne Littrell filling in for Jackson Jones. We miss him this week, but Jackson and Stephen Jones will be back next week. They've got some family priorities to take care of this week. But anyway, we're opening up questions also on Facebook. So if you're watching us live tonight and you have a question for Coach Clark, hit our Facebook up and we'll ask Coach the question live on the air. It's the Coaches Show, the Brantford Buccaneer Coaches Show. Back with more after this timeout here on RiverCountrySports.com.
You were there at the beginning. You stood behind me, guiding me through good times and bad, teaching me lessons I wouldn't appreciate until later, preparing me for the day when you couldn't be here. What you've given me, I'll carry wherever I go. And because of your planning, I know I'll go far.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
Farm Bureau Insurance, serving Florida for over 70 years. In Suwannee County, you'll find Farm Bureau in Branford and in Live Oak. In Branford on Drain Street, phone 935-1274. And in Live Oak on Dowling Avenue, call 362-1274. Real service, real people, Farm Bureau Insurance.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Van Carpet One. For 78 years, we've been your local family-owned and operated floor covering store, and we can't wait to serve you. Let's go check out some of the stuff we've got and say hey to the guys.
Hey guys, this is Michael Van here at Van Carpet One. Wanted to show you our huge display of carpet. Got about 1,000 rolls for you that we can order. We also keep about 100 in stock that are on clearance, so please come down and give us a visit. We appreciate it.
Come in and see the largest tile collection in North Florida. Van Carpet One has every tile you could possibly imagine. If you can't find it here, they don't make it. Guys, take a look at this. This is just some of our options in waterproof vinyl plank, where we have the largest selection anywhere around here, including over 70 pallets in stock, ready to go right now. Come in and see our fantastic selection of elegant hardwood too, followed up by fantastic service that you expect from a company like Van Carpet One.
Come on in and see us.
We can't wait to serve you. And that's a boom shakalaka.
And welcome back here, the Buccaneers Coaches Show here on a Wednesday night, normally on a Tuesday night, but I mentioned the JV game last night. How did the JV team do, by the way?
They lost to Fort White. I think it was 25-8 or 25-7. But they played tough. We're primarily middle school.
I was going to say most of your JV kids have got to be some of the younger.
Right.
Bucks,
Yeah,
you know?
we're 6 through 9, and there's a high percentage of that roster that's middle school in age group. So they played tough. They were a little outmatched size-wise, but they played hard.
Are there any of the kids on the JV that you can bring up for that with that 6-quarter rule?
There's a handful. There's 4 or 5 of them that we typically do. And so that helps us a little bit. Some of those guys that played Tuesday night, typically they'll play Thursday and then have to turn around the next day. And if they play for us, get their couple of quarters in the day after, now they've got a little bit of rest, and then
true.
we can use them Friday night.
But I mean, it's great experience for those guys, even, just being a part of the team on the sideline, giving you bigger numbers. And if you can get a chance to get some of those guys in, I mean, you don't get that kind of experience just, on paper. You got to get in the game and feel it.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And certainly with a shorter JV season, those are guys that are going to come up to us anyway when their season is done, and they'll be full-time varsity at that point. So they learn a little bit about our game day operations, pregame procedures, all that stuff, how we manage the sideline. Everything's just a little more intense at the varsity level, and then they can sit in on some film meetings, things like that, and start to get used to it for when they're up full-time.
How do you work? Is it a separate coaching staff for JV, or is it your coaches and you're all basically one unit?
It's a separate coaching staff. So they practice every day on the same practice field as us, take one end of the field, but we collaborate quite a bit. Throughout.
I mean, they're running the same stuff, so when they come to the next level, they're ready.
Right, for the most part. I've told that group, look, I'm not going to handcuff you to scheme-wise exactly what we do. If say on a given year you have a different type of group of kids than I might have at varsity. Right. If you got a bunch of maulers down there, and the best thing for you guys to do to win football games is to line up in the eye and pound the rock. And we're up. Maybe we have a bunch of skill guys that year, and we're throwing quicks and heavy in the passing game, or vice versa. I'm not going to ask you to just blindly do the same thing we do, but what they do a great job of is, look, you can run what you run, but within our offensive system, there's a way that we can use the same terminology. There's a way that we can formation it, with our terms the same. We can call the positions the same. We can call these shifts and movements the same. And that really is all I'm worried about. That goes a long way. And defensively too, if we can call those positions the same, call the coverages the same, the front's the same, then you can run what you need to run to win games, right? But once they come up to us, they have that base knowledge of that's that outside backer we call the Sam, that one we call the Will, and here's what we call motion from the slot. So it just gives them a head start when they come up to us.
Yeah, I know if they progress and they get to you, hey, you're running the eye too. I mean, if that's the personnel that you have.
That's right, yeah. So if that group stays together, then that's what they'll be running anyway when they get to us. So if we can just call it the same stuff and keep that consistent, then that'll just give us a head start.
Well, Coach, big game this week. Going to Gainesville, as we mentioned in the last segment, taking on Oak Hall. Oak Hall is a 50-0 win over Bronson. They've beaten Bishop Snyder and Seven Rivers Christian. This looks like a team they've scored 50, 52, and 35 in their 3 games. Team that can really score some points.
Right. And so you look at those scores and you think, man, they must be chunking it all over the field. They must be distributing it out into space and, a big play type of offense. And surprisingly, you start breaking down the film and realize that they only get in a couple formations. They're under center, they're double wing, and they don't run a lot of scheme. They just line up and run what they run, and they do it well. Sort of the same mentality in preparation for us that we had the week of Weewa Hitchka, and that they've got their playmakers, right, and they know that they need to get the football a high percentage of the time, and um, they just don't do a whole lot in terms of just formations and different play schemes. They just get those dudes the ball in a consistent way, and they execute very well. So it's definitely a challenge. They've got some skill guys that can really run, and they've got enough size up front. Combine all that with the program that they're expecting to win. It's a big road test for us.
Yeah, a lot of run heavy, but you can't just key in on the run because the quarterback, number 4, Akins, he'll beat you with his arm as well. He's thrown for 150 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's a dual threat kid, and they've got some weapons in the backfield. Number 2, number 6, and a freshman, number 24, that's been pretty spectacular.
Right. Yes, their quarterback with the system that they run, running some option. They're running some design Q run from under center, which takes offensively some specific things to make that happen. So they go double wing, they go arc motion, and they'll pull guard and tackle backside, and you have to have a good trigger man to be able to run that offense effectively, and he certainly is one. He can beat you with the legs, and they can lull you to sleep a little bit with a downhill run. The next thing you know, they're rolling out and they're throwing waggle or something like that. So you definitely have to have great eye control, have to tackle well, and it's a responsibility type night defensively.
Yeah, you got to know where your man is. You got to watch for that wing back trap
Mhm.
and misdirection, and
Right.
it's going to be a heavy running attack. And it's tough to. I mean, you only have a short amount of time. The kids have school and everything else, but to get the game plan in the following week. What is your procedure? You usually meet with the coaches and have a plan and ready to attack it Monday. Is that normally how it goes?
Right. Yeah. So typically my week and weekend looks like Saturday I'm breaking down Friday night, doing stats, writing notes on the huddle film for the kids for Monday, distributing the scout film that I get from opposing coaches to my staff, and we're all kind of looking at it, gathering our thoughts on it, making notes. Sunday, I spend most of the day doing next opponent work. So I'm charting, doing tendency reports, things like that, drawing scout cards, calculating run pass percentage, all that stuff, and down and distance tendencies. It's just typical defensive scouting. It's heavy defense Sunday. Then Monday we come in early in the morning and we meet as a staff before school, and we just go over Friday night and then start talking about the next week. We talk through any installs that we want specifically for that opponent. Just go over the tendency stuff, and then just make the plan for the week on Monday morning. And then when the kids come in, we watch film after school from the previous Friday night, and then Monday's a pretty late night for us. So that's our install day. So everything that we're putting in for that day, it's usually corrections offensively. We'll have a list of plays that we didn't feel like we executed well on the previous Friday night, and we'll line everything back up the same way we saw it and execute it right. And then it's heavy defensive install. So that's when we line up and we said, for example, the Bell week, here's the 27 different looks that they got in 2 weeks.
Wow.
So that was a challenge that week. We had to kind of add in script some more time.
Just being lined up correctly. I mean, that's
Right, just being
yeah.
lined up correctly. That's scarier to me, as a coach, coaching 16-year-olds. It's like, can we
Yeah.
focus them in enough on Monday, right? I mean, because we can be wrong a few times and just fly around, and pursuit and hustle makes up for a lot of things. But if you don't align correctly before the ball snap and somebody's wide open, really, that's what scares me. We need to be able to line up to everything that they could possibly get in based on what they've shown on film. So this is definitely a different challenge this week in that I'm at 2 formations. Right. I mean, in 3 games, it's 2 formations. That's what they've gotten in.
But how do you simulate that? I mean, obviously you don't have a scout team that it's going to come in and kind of simulate exactly what they do with the bigger linemen, with the misdirection,
Mhm.
with the double wing. I mean, that's got to be hard to prepare for.
Right. It is. It is. So honestly, we try to replicate it as much as we can with, and a lot of it has to be leadership driven within the football team. So, for example, this week, Maurice Vaught, he's a really good player for us,
Yeah.
offensively and defensively. Well, he's gotten a lot of reps at that quarterback this week on the scout team.
Okay.
He might be our best athlete on the football team, and he's repping as number 4, for for the scout team
All right.
because he gives us the best look. And passing downs. Trent Land, he's our starting quarterback, has played some scout team quarterback, and Blake Pilkington, a kid that has been a heavy special teams guy for us, has been nursing an ankle a little bit, but he's straight line speed, possibly the fastest guy that we've got. He's been playing some of the receiver spots, wingback spots, and giving great looks on the downfield passes that they will do, and really testing us in our eye control in the secondary. So that's really all you can do is align as much good on good as you can in practice to do it safely, and realistically. But that's what it looks like in terms of prep.
How physical are your practices? Obviously you don't want to get kids hurt in practice. It's bad enough on Friday night when you lose a kid, but how physical do you get, and what is that balance between not wanting to get kids hurt but also wanting to play physical?
Well, we know that's got to be our identity. So these kids can be. You worry obviously as a head coach every time you do it, but and we have to stick to what we are and what we do. So Monday's is shells day for us because it's typically so much install, but
Right.
but Tuesday, Wednesday are full pad days for us. Tuesday's Bloody Tuesday. We start practice circling it up and just doing board drill and hitting. You got to bloody the nose a little bit if during the week if you're going to do it Friday night. Tuesday we ended with sideline Oklahoma. We want that to be our identity, and you just say your prayers and line it up and go. And today was a Wednesday, and we still started practice with circling it up, doing board drill. So it is a concern. We have to keep guys healthy and limit those potential scenarios. Where they could get hurt at practice. That'd be devastating, obviously, But the risk reward, we want to be a physical football team, and we have to practice that way. So
Yeah, it's just with the numbers, you worry about
yeah.
losing key players. But how do you look as far as injury wise? Is everybody healthy? Do you have some kids out? I know you got bumps and bruises. Everybody does at this point.
Right. Well, we really were blessed Friday night to play a physical football team like Bell, and it take 4 quarters to win the game and not lose anybody. So
Awesome.
that was really good. So I would say we are better than we were last week. We had 2 that weren't able to play last week against Bell, and both of those guys are hopeful for this week. So we're still day to day with them, and like you said, we have the expected bumps and bruises now 3 games in. Playing Bell, Weewa, that's 2 pretty physical teams back to back.
Yeah.
So we have some of those bumps and bruises, but we really are blessed right now to be in a pretty healthy state, and we need it, certainly this week.
Well, obviously football it's a tough sport. I mean, it is a physical sport, and if you're going to play physical on Friday, you got to practice that way, or else you're going to pick up bad habits. So
Right.
I was just curious as to what that balance is. So Tuesday, Wednesday are full go days.
Yeah, Tuesday, Wednesday are full go, and then even Thursday, we used to. A lot of people go shorts on Thursday, but or just jerseys, and helmets and shorts on Thursday. But we keep the pads on Thursday. We just put them in shorts. So we're shells on Thursday because we still have to fit up and we still have to wrap up. We have to have some full speed stuff on Thursday.
So we talked a little bit about facing Ocal's offense. What do they look like defensively? Is there anything that you can see? Obviously, football is a matchup game. I mean, you're trying to find a matchup that works for you, to find a weakness in their defense.
Mhm.
But how do you approach them? What do they look like defensively?
Well, obviously we can only offensive plan and strategize based on what we've seen on film for them in 3 weeks now, and they certainly had and you can infer that from the scores already, but breaking down the film, they had pretty distinct advantages at the skill positions against the 3 opponents that they've had already on their schedule. So, um, we're aware of that, and we want to run what we run, but we know they're scheming too. They're
Yeah.
scheming too. So if they're scouting Branford, we know that they're obviously going to they're going to give some attention, some special attention to number 0 for us. Like we know that Reese is going to command some attention, possibly a double team. And so, we have our plan, we have our strategy, but certainly there's got to be some flexibility Friday night to adjust to what they bring us, whether it's are they traveling their best cover guy to him? Are they rolling his safety down and trying to bracket him? And then if they do, what does that mean for our other guys in our offense? What does that mean for Arcavian, who was productive last week for us in the passing game too? Is it going to open him up and give opportunities for him? If they put another guy back there in cover and try to zone us out, is that going to open up the inside run? And we were effective last week with that. Certainly, even with quarterback run, with design QB run, it was pretty effective for us. I think Trent had 13 carries for 60 yards or something like that. It was effective stuff, and it was all between the tackles. So it'll be curious to see what they do to try to stop us.
Speaking of Trent, he's been impressive this year, just a sophomore, but nice balance between the run and the pass. And you don't know what to expect about a youngster in there under the spotlight for the first time, but he's handled it well.
Right, he really has, and he came off a game against Weehawken. He threw for 229 or something. I think last Friday night he threw for 130 or 139. But he didn't throw a pick, and I thought it was his best game in terms of just progressing every single week in his decision making and being quicker on his trigger. So, that's all you can ask for, especially for a 10th grade kid, that he can protect the football, run it between the tackles, and pick up a first down on 3rd and 2. But then have great footwork, great eyes, and deliver a ball like he did to Maurice there at the end of the game to put it away, basically. He's starting to develop that full-rounded nature in his game. So I'm really pleased with his progression.
How would you assess just overall your team through the early part of the season? Are you happy with not only your quarterback, but just seeing the team progress?
Yes, I am. We have a long way to go. Every film that we've watched, we've seen some improvement. It's been a little bit cleaner. It's been a little bit cleaner, but we're never going to be satisfied that we beat Bell 28-7 or we want to improve um, every single week on those little
Sure.
execution details that we see offensively and defensively. Certainly, we missed a couple tackles Friday night. We got lucky and left a couple guys uncovered Friday night. Certainly, giving up the score right before the half is not what we wanted to do. So there's always areas where we can improve in every phase of the game. So yes, I am happy in terms of those intangibles that are tougher to coach. We're remaining positive. We're being encouraging. We're being enthusiastic about the game. We're playing the right way. We're flying to the football. We're playing physical and giving great effort.
Yeah.
But offensively and defensively, we certainly still have a lot to clean up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, effort, and that's what you're looking for. And if you're seeing that and you're seeing improvement as the year goes, I mean, that's all
Right.
a coach can ask for. And I've never met a coach that was completely satisfied with anything.
Yeah, we're not
You
gonna
know,
be. Yeah.
there's always something we can improve
That's
on,
right.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, stay tuned. We're going to join Jackson. He's got a player spotlight coming up. We'll be back with more of the Branford Coaches Show in just a minute. Keep it here, rivercountrysports.com.
Thank you for joining us here at Branford High School. We've got two of our players with us, Wyatt Derringer and Vernon Richards. This is our player spotlight here at halftime. So, Vernon, starting us off, I know you and Wyatt both played with us last year. Y'all both are at the middle linebacker position, correct?
Yes, sir.
So, I know you've been playing linebacker for a little while. Have you been working any on the offensive side of the ball as well, or just mainly on defense?
Yes, I have. It was mainly towards 3 and 4 backs, tight end spots,
Right.
just getting that extra work.
Right, for sure. So for sure. So that you're talking about that extra work. So really, like, since y'all have played together for a while, what really do you think works best that you could translate to some other players on the field, that like that bond that you two kind of create with each other?
Um,
Well, what kind of works best that y'all do that could translate to other players on the field?
it's really just about the communication that we have.
Just communicate with each other, make sure we know what each other's doing at all times, and just that's pretty much it. Just communicate. Communication is key.
And it really helps that me and White, we've been doing this for a while, so we kind of understand what we go like what kind of like ideas we have. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I got you. So starting off, you're going into what grade this year?
11th.
So you're going into 11th grade, and
He's
then
a senior
you're
this
going to be
year.
a senior
Yeah.
this year, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So y'all are part of the older crew that is here on the team this year,
Sir.
which I know that there are some younger pieces that
Oh yeah.
are on the team, and then starting off with us this year, some that are moving up from JV, some that are on varsity for the second, going on third year. What really do y'all kind of feel that like what kind of way works best for y'all that allows you to lead like that younger group that's coming up? Like what do you do?
I mean, just doing your hardest 100%. I mean, that just it's just you do 100%. Other people gonna want to do as good as you, so they're gonna drive themselves to be better than you. Obviously, if they're trying to take your spot, but just 100% at all times, and maybe they'll follow you.
Yeah, so like 100% all the way through. You know, you give it that, they're gonna want to imitate you and like try to be better. And so that'll surely just lead them on to like a better pathway that they could have. And the older groups, you know, when I was younger, I I followed them, and that kind of just like sticks with me now.
Right. So this given 100%, this can translate to many different parts, whether you're on the field, you're off the field, whether you're in the game, or you're just trying to lead some players, discipline them outside of even football. I mean, you're giving 100% relates to whether you're in the classroom or you're at home with your family. I mean, what this 100%, I mean, you also gonna have to give 100% in the weight room. I mean, that's a
Yeah.
big part. What kind of things in the weight room really you think are translating the most to playing on the field?
Everything matters, man. Don't matter what it is, as long as you just do 100% on every lift, everything. It'll transcribe into the field.
Yeah, every rep, every set, it'll lead it to the field, to off the field, to the schoolwork that you do, everything that you really like lead up to.
Right. So y'all both been in Brantford for a long time, or y'all aren't new here. So y'all have both
No,
been in Brantford.
same.
So you've seen a lot of people come through, people move around. You've got a lot of new players as well that have came in with y'all. What do you kind of think that you can kind of teach them about that Brantford culture that you have between your other teammates that have been here a while?
Really, it's just a teammate bonding. We've been practicing to get closer with them, and they've been learning the plays. They're gonna help us out a lot, we believe, and that's about it.
Yeah, it's really just about that brotherhood that the older Bramford high schoolers they had, and that's what really I want to have with this group.
Right, for sure. So I know Brantford, since I've played here myself, and then was one of that group that transferred in too. But you really kind of seen the difference between this program and other programs about how close together that you want to be, whether that's going and doing things outside of school. I mean, they even had us duck hunting in the mornings before school.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we did that. Yeah.
Yeah. But you come here and you'd be freezing your butt off because you just filled your waders with some
Oh
water.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean that kind of thing that translates to working together on the field and wanting to give your 100% for not just yourself but your other teammates. But so really, I mean, one of those things that you do, I mean, with your teammates, I mean, what are kind of some of the things that y'all are doing outside of just being in the weight room or being on the field together that are that kind of grows your relationship with your teammates? What are
Going fishing, going to springs, hang out, shooting stuff. That's about it. My,
Yeah, this pretty much is like hanging out with them, you know, growing the bond that you have already with them, making it stronger, and like that really correspond to how you do on the field and your brotherhood that you would have.
for sure, for sure. So I know two linebackers, two guys that could be doing anything else with their time. What really makes you want to be here right now? I know you spent all of your summer up here. You started off fall camp up here, and then now to the point we're at in the season. What really makes you want to be up here with these guys and do what you're doing now?
I just like running people over.
Yeah.
Common response out of a linebacker, I guess you'd say.
Um, really, it's it's my friends. They play it. I like to play it, and I really have the love for the sport. And without it, I don't know what I would be doing. Just sitting on the couch eating chips.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. It keeps you active too.
Well, thank you for joining us here on Player Spotlight.
And welcome back, everyone, to the Buccaneers Coaches Show. Wayne Littrell filling in for Jackson Jones. Jackson and his dad, Steven, off this week. Family business. They'll be back next week. Kenny Burt Jr., our PA announcer, is going to join me in Gainesville for the call this week against the Oak Eagles. So you're going to have to calm him down a little bit.
So good luck. Yeah, good luck.
Okay. So Branford at Oak Hall, I wanted to ask you about some other games that are taking place around the area. I asked you a little bit about that Lake Weir at Bell game. Going to get some good tape off of that to see what Lake Weir looks like in an interesting matchup. Also, some other games. I know you got Hamilton County coming up later this year. They've got a game at West Nassau this Friday. Did you look at any of the Hamco film against Lafayette last year?
I did, and that's an interesting matchup for us because I know a little bit of what West Nassau looks like because the scouting that I've done of Lake Weir was against West Nassau. So West Nassau is a big physical football team, and they like to run the ball and they've got some maulers up front. So I'll be interested to see what Hamilton does against their front. That'd be my biggest question.
Yeah, another big matchup. Lafayette going to be hosting Chiefland. The Chiefland Indians coming to the Lafayette, and that's going to be an interesting game because Chiefland normally a pretty tough ball club, and be interesting to see how the Hornets handle that.
Right, and then they've had some really good football games the past couple of years, competitive ones that have come down to the wire, and Chiefland. I don't know what they did last week or the week before, but I know they opened up the season with an absolute war with Williston and won.
Yeah.
So that's a big win, and so Chiefland's legit. That'll be interesting to see.
Williston's got Lake Minneola coming in. Columbia at Madison. That'll be an interesting ball game.
Yep.
I looked at the records between those two teams. Madison actually has a winning record against Lake City. Columbia comes in this year 3-0. So going to be interesting on Boot Hill.
Right. Yeah, and Madison in our classification.
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Them and Hawthorne, I don't know where they get their players, but man,
right,
they've had a heck of a run. But some pretty neat matchups coming up in high school football this week, and then in college football, the Florida Gators, fresh off that loss. I know you're a big Gator fan, going to LSU. What are you thinking? Can the Gators bounce back against the number 3 team in the country?
Absolutely. I think that my personal opinion. Everybody's a coach, obviously.
Yeah.
Everybody's got.
You are a coach.
Everybody's got an answer. And it's just amazing to me that the tune is so much different when you win the football game.
Oh, yeah.
As we know, and if we'd have pulled that out against USF at home, what I think people will say, maybe I'm completely wrong. But what I think people will say 5 or 6 weeks from now is that USF's pretty dang good.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I would not be surprised at all if they go toe-to-toe with Miami and that football game comes down to a bounce here or there. Quarterback was really impressive for USF, and I thought that Lagway was just a few puzzling misses away from really putting that game away late in the fourth quarter there. So again, I think if we'd have pulled that out, that would have appeared as a better and better win as the weeks go on, because I think USF is pretty tough.
Well, I agree with you. And USF obviously they beat Boise, and then they go to Gainesville.
Handily, right?
Yeah, and toe to toe with the Gators. You look at that last drive, and there are a lot of things. There's the bad punt and the field position, and a lot of things happened in that game. But that last drive where Florida had USF stopped, and then you get the spitting penalty that continued the drive, and they kicked a long field goal for the win. I mean, those things have to be cleaned up.
Right, and those are the type of things that just make you pull your hair out as a coach, right? But it's interesting. I'm sure it's going to be referenced quite a bit because obviously there's some history of a similar penalty against LSU with the shoe throwing incident, a few years ago against LSU that essentially cost us the football game. So, that's one of those you look back that it very well could have been the reason that we lost the game. But if we'd have pulled that one out, I think the narrative is a whole lot different about Coach Napier.
Now we're going to find out how good the Bulls really are because they do take on the Miami Hurricanes on Saturday. Miami ranked 5th. Miami, now I think the Hurricanes will win. I think their line of scrimmage is where that game's going to be different, but they're a 17.5-point favorite against USF. I'm not a betting man, but I would not take that. I would take USF in the points.
Right. Where is that game?
That's in Miami.
Man, that's tough.
That's a tough environment, but USF's got all the confidence in the world right now.
Right.
But, how do they handle that? How do they handle the success and now suddenly being ranked and all the attention on them?
Right. And like you said, again, we'd be talking about how good USF was and how good of a win that was for us if we'd have pulled it out.
Yeah.
Look at it's coming back to me now. The double tipped pass against us, that bounced off 2 DB and we had 2 DBs run into each other and the guy catches it and runs for a those are those plays that you just sometimes you can't predict. And I think if we'd have pulled that out, that it would be a much more positive thing because they're pretty good. I'd like to see them make a run at Miami.
What's so funny is when it comes to coaching, it depends on your last game. And you take a look at last season, Napier's on the hot seat, and then suddenly they go on a little winning streak toward the end, and he's safe again. Coming into this year, everything's fine. They lose one game, and now all of a sudden he doesn't know how to coach football.
Right.
And just having said that, if they can win on the Bayou Saturday night, somehow knock off LSU, he's a genius again.
Right. Right. Well, and honestly, with the schedule that we have this year, if he pulls a couple of those out, it's something like, I think, don't quote me because I haven't seen the most recent rankings, but when I looked at it last weekend, I think everybody but Mississippi State here on out is ranked. Something like that. It's unbelievable and playing 4 of the top 10.
Yeah.
So
and in the SEC, anybody can beat anybody.
Absolutely. Any given week.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the SEC, a good game going to go on Rocky Top, Georgia at Tennessee, 2 teams that Florida's going to see down the road. What do you think about that matchup?
That's one of those football games that you want it to end from weather and nobody win. Like, who do you want to win that game? As a Gator fan, it hurts your brain to think about rooting for either one of those sides. I guess you just want to see a good game, and just get a little scout on 2 teams that are big rivals for us. But man, boy, just hate both of those squads.
Oh yeah, but I guess it's the kind of the nature of the business nowadays. Even in high school, you root for the teams you play, except for when you play them.
Right.
But then you're rooting for them the rest of the way because you want to build that resume. And so, obviously, these 2 teams that you're going to have to face down the road as far as the Gators. So probably don't care as much in this game. You're going to have to face them both.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, it's interesting how things work now with polls and whatnot. But college football, what do you think about the playoff now? Are you a fan of that, or do you like the older system?
Well, I was a pretty staunch believer in I loved the bowl games, man. I just loved the vibe around and the tradition around the bowl games, and was kind of skeptical about it. But man, more football.
Yeah.
Once we got into it last year, I was like, man, let's open this bracket up, play into March. It was pretty cool. The matchups that we got from that inaugural year of having an expanded playoff, some of those were just really fun to watch.
Yeah.
So, I'm here for it now.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It does take away from the bowl experience. There's no question, but you still have the bowl structure. So teams that don't make the playoffs, their big game can be, whatever bowl
if they play.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and that's
a whole different discussion, right?
But
if they play, so it's creating kind of that mentality, I think, a little bit where the only games that do matter are those ones inside the bracket, but those ones inside the bracket certainly are a lot of fun to watch.
You're going to have to start writing into those NIL contracts. Will complete the season, including the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. All right, Coach, we'll take a timeout. This is our final timeout. We'll be back to wrap up the show after this. It's the Branford Coaches Show on RiverCountrySports.com.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Van Carpet One. For 78 years, we've been your local family-owned and operated floor covering store, and we can't wait to serve you. Let's go check out some of the stuff we've got and say hey to the guys.
Hey guys, this is Michael Van here at Van Carpet One. Wanted to show you our huge display of carpet. Got about 1,000 rolls for you that we can order. We also keep about 100 in stock that are on clearance, so please come down and give us a visit. We appreciate it.
Come in and see the largest tile collection in North Florida. Van Carpet One has every tile you could possibly imagine. If you can't find it here, they don't make it. Guys, take a look at this. This is just some of our options in waterproof vinyl plank, where we have the largest selection anywhere around here, including over 70 pallets in stock, ready to go right now. Come in and see our fantastic selection of elegant hardwood too, followed up by fantastic service that you expect from a company like Van Carpet One.
Come on in and see us.
We can't wait to serve you. And that's a boom shakalaka.
You were there at the beginning. You stood behind me, guiding me through good times and bad, teaching me lessons I wouldn't appreciate until later, preparing me for the day when you couldn't be here. What you've given me, I'll carry wherever I go. And because of your planning, I know I'll go far.
Set your family up for life. Southern Farm Bureau Life Insurance. Your friends for life.
Farm Bureau Insurance, serving Florida for over 70 years. In Suwannee County, you'll find Farm Bureau in Branford and in Live Oak. In Branford on Drain Street, phone 935-1274. And in Live Oak on Dowling Avenue, call 362-1274. Real service, real people, Farm Bureau Insurance. It's the Branford Buccaneers Coaches Show here on a Wednesday night. Normally we do this on a Tuesday night, but we had a JV game, so we moved it to Wednesday. Questions are still opened up on Facebook. If you have a question, we haven't had one yet, but if you do have one, we can get it in here in this last segment. Coach Clark, I want to talk to you about O'Call. So Branford has played O'Call twice that I could find in the record books, and lost last year 28-20. But then going back to 2013, beat them 51-13. So 1-1 against these Eagles.
Right. It's a program that we're familiar with. We play them in about everything else, and they're when we get to track season, it's in our district, which we've been in a district with them for as long as I've been coaching. It's pretty much us and them at the top of the district, and so we've had some really great competition with them, and have a good relationship with their coaches over there. So we're familiar with the program, and then certainly playing them last year and having them come to our place and have a really competitive, great football game. This is one we were looking forward to, at the beginning of the season, and certainly now breaking them down and being in that game week, it's one we're really excited about.
Looking at the points that they've scored this year, in 3 games they scored 137 points. That's 46 points per game. I mean, that's got to concern you. How do you slow these guys down?
Right. I mean, you have to have great, eye control against a team that when they throw, it's play action. It's built off, of their run game, and then in the run game, running some option stuff, getting up under center, having double wing, and it's one of those where you're gonna have a dive guy, you're gonna have a quarterback guy, you're gonna have a pitch guy, and all those dudes have to commit to that. Right. If we get out of alignment, or if we just, we lose control for one play and our quarterback guy takes a dive and we don't have someone for quarterback guy, he's going. Right. And Ford's a good player and he can roll. So it's one of those where we have to account for each one of those phases in the run game, dive, quarterback, pitch, and then see how many more we can add to the play with hustle and just scheming more guys into the run fit.
Yeah, they're averaging 331 yards per game. So just in the run game.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And then you throw in another 53 yards in the air. And so, and that's what they get you sucked down in the run game, and you're putting everybody in the box, and then they're going to beat you with the pass. So, I mean, that's where you talk about being disciplined with your eyes.
Right. Absolutely. And they do a good job with that too. Sometimes their receivers, you see them, they're running off. Sometimes they perimeter block, and sometimes they run off, and they may look like they're run and go on a pass play, just like when they're running go on a run play. So if we're in man coverage, we may have DBs turned and playing great coverage down the field on on a receiver that's just running them out of the play for the run. So we have some things built in to try to mitigate that a little bit, to give us more guys in the fit, play some zone, get their eyes back into the backfield, and from there it's just going to be hustle to the ball and tackle well.
So they average 384 yards per game, total yards per game, but you guys average over 300 yards per game. You're averaging 304 yards per game. Mixing it up, your run and pass is pretty even, which is always one a coach looks at, so you can keep them off balance. But I'm thinking in this game, if you can hold them to less than 30 points, you got a great shot of winning this.
Right, and I told the guys today, we've strategically, I said, look, we know that adversity is going to come on Friday nights, right? And this Friday night is going to be no different. Like, look what happened to us last Friday night. We had to deal with jogging halfway to the locker room, coming back 15 seconds, all that stuff we've already talked about. So, our job as a staff is to try to, in some way, create and simulate some adversity at practice and put us in situations where it takes some mental toughness, and it's not a new concept on a Friday night when it hits, because it's going to inevitably. So this week we've kind of taken that to heart, and I've challenged them and said, look, we're gonna alter practice script. I'm gonna flip some things around, because we kind of get in that rut where they expect, okay, we're going offensive ending. Next is going to be, Timo run. We've been flipping it around where at any given time we could line it up and, finish practice with conditioning, finish practice with Oklahoma. We're flipping the script, defense first, offense second. So we're trying to create unexpected, and the mantra to them this week is be comfortable with the uncomfortable, right? Because this is a team that, look, if we get in a track meet with them and they score 50 points, we got to score 51. Or if it's a 4-quarter fight or it goes into 5 or 6 quarters and we're in overtime and it's locked 0-0, we got to be okay with that as well. So we're just trying to create those situations where mentally they have to endure some stuff, persevere through some stuff Monday through Thursday, because we expect it to happen Friday night.
That's one of the tough things as far as coaching, is keeping the emotions in check, not getting too high when things are going your way and not getting too low when things aren't going. Because in a football game, you're going to have those peaks and valleys.
With teenagers.
Yeah.
with teenagers. They have all these other things going on, all these other things in their mind, all these, we'll call them suggestions coming in, from the stands, from the fence. Like there can be a lot of that, and they've just got to lock in and focus on their assignment only. And certainly this week, with what they present to us, particularly offensively, with what they want to try to do, we've got to be locked in.
I know, my coaching experience was at the Pee Wee level, but I can remember we have a game plan and we're trying to get these kids to understand something. But then you've got the parents that are telling their kids something else, because they're all superstars,
right,
in their eyes. So I don't know if you experienced any of that on the high school level, but just keeping the kids on one page.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, we tell them all the time, look, there's nothing wrong with the input from the outside in. It's going to happen, right? But you got to have some perspective and know that when it's time to lock in, and when we talk about locking in, we're saying we're going to shut the blinds, we're going to put towels under the door, and we're going to talk about the only thing that matters is in this room right now, because we're the only ones that have to go try to stop O'Call Friday night. So, they've done a good job of focusing on that and trust. I feel like they're trusting the game plan, and buying into it. And I can see on Huddle who's watching film and who's not. It's been a good week with that. So, I'm encouraged that they're going to come out Friday night with the mindset that they just need to do their job.
What does the travel look like? What time do you guys lead? Are you taking any kind of charter, or how do you get into Gainesville?
We're riding that cheese wagon.
Are you?
Yeah, we're riding that cheese wagon. So, away games, especially with this being the first one, the challenge is to try to keep that pregame meal, the special teams call outs, your walkthroughs and tape, all that stuff, as close to what it would be if we were playing at home, as possible. So we adjust as much as we can, understand it's about an hour drive and it's a 7:00 kickoff. So we'll adjust from there. But for the most part, with a trip that's that short, we should be able to stay pretty much on script.
You've got the longer road trip the next week, and just when you go to Lake Weir. Do you have a charter or anything for that, or is it still the yellow school bus?
The yellow dog.
And you guys are tough.
If I could, we'd have one of those watermelon buses with the windows out, no roof on it.
Oh man!
And we would
wow,
we would pile onto that and ride out.
Coming back after the 2 road games, you've got the homecoming game coming up the end of this month against Hilliard. So I don't know if you're ready to look that far ahead, but the homecoming's always a special time.
Certainly, yeah, we're not looking ahead, but that's a matchup that we look forward to. I've certainly looked forward to the past couple of years with with Coach Yancey being there, my former defensive coordinator. I'm proud of him sticking it out there and inheriting a program that was, kind of seeing tough times, and now this year he's gotten a couple wins, and he's persevering and looking forward to that matchup for sure, and him coming back to Brantford.
Yeah. Well, some great ball games coming up. And listen, we really appreciate the hospitality you guys have shown us. River Country, kind of a new thing with the live streaming, but the crowds have been great, and we really appreciate just the hospitality you guys have given us.
Well, I think it's been phenomenal. One thing I hadn't even mentioned, you guys, is I've used the stream personally. A couple times already now in the last just because of the quality of the stream, video wise, right? So my huddle film is done on an iPad and then a Sony camera that's run 25 feet up. The cameras that you guys use are phenomenal. So sometimes when I'm statting out and I get to play 65 and I can't really see who made that tackle, I'll go back and look at the feed and see who Jackson calls out, or I can usually see it a little better. So no, it's been great for us too.
Yeah. We just have the one camera set up right now in Brantford. As we get more sponsors, we'll add more cameras. That's the
Right,
plan. We're
right.
up to 3 in the Live Oak game. So
Well, it's really high quality.
yeah. Well, thank you. Appreciate
Yeah.
that. And we intend to keep doing it. And we'll be at Oak Hall. We'll be there in Gainesville. Got permission from them to come down and bring you this game. So looking forward to that, Coach. Always appreciate your time. And go Bucks.
All right. Thank you.
You've been watching the Coaches Show, the Brantford Buccaneers Coaches Show here on RiverCountrySports.com. Like to thank our sponsors, Farm Bureau Insurance, also Van Carpet One, and the Suwannee County School District. Our executive producer on tonight's broadcast was Tammy Neal. Our streaming producer, Mr. Dusty Morgan. For Coach Clark, I'm Wayne Littrell. If you have a comment, you can always email us, rivercountrysports@gmail.com. See you Friday night.